welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalfas. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We're here with Cliff Nonnenmacher. Did I get that good?
You nailed it.
All right. Sometimes we got people with easy names. Sometimes we got people with hard names. That one's not that bad, though. Cliff, where are you coming from today?
I live in Southeast Florida, so I'm Boca Del Rey area, Florida. I'm a
Oh,
New York transplant, but I live down here now.
just like many. I am also a New York transplant, but I didn't make it that far south.
Not yet.
Well, kind of. I have a house in Tampa, but
Okay.
we live in Maryland. So, but my race this weekend was just in Miami, so I wasn't too far from you.
Nice. Yeah,
Cliff,
it's a great area.
how long have you been down there?
I lived in New York. I moved to Marco Island, going to the Gulf Coast
Hmm.
in 1988, and I became an investment banker in that area. I was with Solomon Smith Barney at the time, which is now Morgan Stanley. And then I had an opportunity to purchase my first franchise, and I bought the master franchise rights for the entire state of New York and Connecticut, moved back to New York, sold it, built it, sold it, and then moved back to Florida in 2011. So back and forth, more than half of my life has now been in Florida.
Yeah, that's New York's a tough place to stay. Just the people, the weather. It makes it's an infectious place, but it's tough to stay there for a full life.
I I listen, I have a rule. Look, this is a wealth show, right? I have a rule, and the rule is I will never reside in a state with a state income tax. It's like never going to happen.
Yeah, that's
So I don't care how beautiful the state is, i.e. California. I will never reside there. I will never invest in that state. I won't put a dime into it in any capacity.
luckily Nick and I don't make any money because we're real estate investors.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. But yeah, Maryland's not exactly the most tax friendly, but there is opportunity here. So that's
Yeah,
why
well, you
we
guys
stay.
listen, that exactly. Once you figure out, okay, this is the hand I've been dealt. I like it here, raising a family here. How do I navigate around the tax inefficiencies of the state? You guys nailed it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
1031, all your tax exchanges and all your creative ways of not making or not paying taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Good for you guys.
That's it, man. So starting on Wall Street, that's like a grind, right? We've done a couple interviews with some Wall Street guys, and they all kind of have the similar story. What's kind of your how did you get up into finance? Did you go to finance school and that was always your track, or did you kind of fall into it?
Yeah, great question. Right. No. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I used to rake golf balls at 8 years old out of country club, ponds and lakes in the woods and sell them. And I've always been entrepreneurial. I've owned 12 companies. I'm going to be 53 soon, so I'm dating myself. But no, I was not a good student. I did not like school. I hated the idea of college. Skipped it, made an investment, started buying some water sport concessions. I've owned, like parasail boats and jet ski rentals and all catamaran tours. And I was very heavy into the water sport business. I started what I wasn't smart enough, but I started what is now an Uber Eats in Marco Island. I used to deliver food for 16 restaurants, pharmacy on Marco Island, which led me to the water sport business. That's how I actually got in that business and then continued to scale. I was a national distributor of the Fun Noodle, that little poly neoprene tube you float on back in the 90s. So like different things over time. But I was making money at a young age and I invested in a satellite. It was a DTN network. This is before satellites were even a thing, and attached it to the side of my house. And it gave me level one, level two, level three, insight into buy sell side on a stock. So I started day trading. I was so early in day trading, my handle was blue chip, not blue chip, 157. My handle was blue chip, which is just crazy. That's how early I was in trading. I was probably 19, 20. And I loved it. Started trading stocks, started making money, took my portfolio to Wall Street. I got offered jobs by every member firm, from Raymond James to Merrill Lynch to Smith Barney, and I accepted a position with Smith Barney. So I got involved in it by becoming a day trader, which of course they shit all over what I was doing. They
Yeah.
hated it, right? Yeah, because they're all buy hold. They don't believe in timing. They don't believe in any of that. Meanwhile, fast forward, everything's algorithm. Everything is, right? Everything now is all about timing, trading, millisecond trades. So this is what they say. They say one thing and they do another on Wall Street, as you know. But that's how I got involved in it. I actually was with a team. We managed around 250 million, which in today's dollars would probably be close to 400 million in assets, mainly some institutional money, like retirement money, but mainly high net worth individuals in Naples, Florida is a very wealthy
Yeah.
area.
So, do you think nowadays somebody could go to Wall Street and get a job without a finance degree like you did?
Probably not.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say that
probably not.
because that's an interesting, like, anybody that you hear now, I feel like that we talk to have been to like the Wharton School of Business
That's
or,
right.
wherever they had to get their degree and then they go. And I'll tell you what, I went to college to be a teacher. That lasted for a couple of years. I was a teacher and I don't use any of those skills that I learned in college now. Nick, what you went to college to do what, right?
Yeah, I went to college. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice and then master's in forensic science, high technology crime to deal with cybercrime, and didn't do anything with it. Just
But at
got
least
right into real estate.
your degree applies to our current situation, right? So, I mean, that degree could be implemented like right now.
Hmm.
I mean, who knew? Who knew back then, that cybersecurity would be what it is today? It's
Yeah,
so
and
a
it was
lot of
a
people
it
don't get
was
that degree. They do nothing with it.
yeah, and it was a brand new program at our school, so like even the professors at that time were just trying to like get through it and try to teach us at the same time they were learning what was going on with it. It would have been a great career to get into, to be honest, with all of the cyber stuff that goes on nowadays and everything is online. But I saw real estate as something, much bigger than that for me at the time.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's
I love real estate.
it's
Yep.
funny because my actually now an equity partner in our brokerage is and a part of my business. He was in the Air Force. Chase, he's usually here with us on our pods. He does like a lot of stuff with us, and he went to the NSA for cybersecurity, and
Yeah.
then lasted a couple years, and now he's full-time real estate. So it's yeah, real estate's our game. So that's what we like talking to people like you in stock game because I have my stocks and stuff, but I don't know much. I don't do trading, and I don't think Nick does either. We kind of buy stuff and
Yeah, besides that, 2020, 2021 boom where everybody everybody was just trying to get into the stock market. They saw something happen and everyone had money at that time and they were just trying to put money in. A lot of people lost money, including myself, just by holding too long and then it went back down. I did get into a group that was day trading and it would be like, sell and I would hold and I got screwed in the end of that. And then cryptocurrency, obviously that was taken off around that same time. And then it went dead for a while, and now here it is again, coming back around for another
Yeah.
cycle, and everyone's talking about crypto now.
I'm staying
That's right.
strong. I'm staying strong. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I'm not getting
Yeah, it's
sucked in. I'm not
the time
dropping.
was before people started talking about it, before, a
That
month or so ago when everyone starts talking about it again. Bitcoin hit an all-time high today at 94,000.
94. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in your franchising and what you've done with franchising because it's something that I have what they call sometimes the shiny object syndrome.
Hmm.
And I've built my companies and we're making good money and we're supporting our families and stuff. But I always see these things and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like I go to this place called the Stretch Zone once a week where it's a franchise. It actually started in Fort Lauderdale. And you basically go in there and you get stretched and the person will strap you down on a table essentially and like manipulate your body in ways you can't do yourself. And they're like a personal stretch trainer.
Right.
Um, and typically they're like trainers that came from like sports teams and stuff like that. And that's what they do. But it's a franchise and you can buy a franchise. And the lady that owns this has like three of them in our area here, and they're all booked. And
Right.
she didn't come up with like I had to build our business. I had to build it from the ground. I didn't have any help or support. What's the benefit to buying into a franchise?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? The million dollar question. So I can relate to everything you said because I started out with me. So the worst advice I've ever been given, the most suppressing advice anyone can ever give someone, there are two things that are told generation after generation, which keep people poor and suppress people. Number one is if you want something done right, do it yourself. Total bullshit. Guaranteed you'll be poor. Guaranteed. Second thing is don't count your chickens before they hatch because they don't understand the the law of attraction, right? Thoughts become things, and what you think about, you bring about. So apps, those two things right there are like the beginning of, well, maybe I should just start something on my own. And I did that, and I did okay, right? I didn't kill it. We're not talking about generational wealth, right? Everyone has a different opinion on or a different feeling on money and what they want and what they use it for. Like to me, I want to be stupidly wealthy, right? Like not just comfortable, but very wealthy. It means something to me. It's not just security, but and it's not just a scorecard. And it's not just the fruit of my efforts and labors. It's just something that's important to me, and it equals a lot of freedom. And you're a health guy, so you can relate to it. Like my doctor's 1,000 an hour. I don't use modern medicine. Modern medicine's horseshit. They
Yeah.
have no
I, s-
credibility anymore.
I do the
None.
same thing. We actually had a whole episode about this. Now
Good.
I go to a private doctor. I have health insurance. My wife still works. She's a teacher. Like I have health insurance and I don't use it. I go to a private med spa basically.
Exactly. Right. Not one. I'm 53 years old. Not one doctor in my life. And I already know the answer to this. I'll just tell you. Not one doctor in your lives ever told you to go get your hormone levels checked, your testosterone levels checked. Testosterone
Nope.
is everything. It makes a man a man. It's
Yeah.
who we are. Like, so what they rather do, oh, you don't feel good. Here's a prescription for an antidepressant.
Yep.
Meanwhile, your T levels down. We have 30-year-olds in this country, low T, low sperm count, can't have babies. For the first time in history, you have two presidential candidates talking about the economy and what else? IVF.
Yeah.
When in the history of America has a candidate discussed IVF? Why? Because we can't have babies. What's going on, right? Now,
Yeah.
this doesn't answer your question. I'm kind of going on a
Yeah.
little
Yeah. Yeah.
tangent here, but it all does matter because it all brings us back to when you start out on your own, you're right, man. You're doing the heavy lift. You have to figure everything out. You cannot leverage collective intelligence. You can't call anyone in your business. It's your business. It's unique to you. I
Yeah.
found the fastest way to create wealth, the fastest way to scale, just the fastest way to what I call collapse time. Because time is the only commodity you can't recycle, right? Time is not our friend at all. It's our enemy. So if I could collapse time and I can scale wealth, it has a force multiplying effect. Franchising provides that. They give you the blueprint, the roadmap, just execute flawlessly, and off you go. So when you ask me, what's the benefit of it? the I have found over the years, I'm able to pick up the phone and call guys like you. Hey, do you have a minute? Yeah, well, listen, we share the same brand. It's on the same corner of our shirt. Do
Hmm.
you have a minute? I want to ask you, you're doing 7 million a year. You're doing 15 million a year. I just want to ask you a few questions about how you compensate your managers. Hey, what are you doing to acquire new customers? What is your cost to acquire a customer? Hey, do you mind sharing your cost of goods with me? What are you paying in rent? How many square footage is your location? And you start writing this shit down. You're like, you know what? I'm doing this wrong, overpaying my manager. I'm not doing this right. I'm fishing in the wrong ponds. Franchising is huge, not just for the franchisor. Forget the franchisor. It's talking to guys like you and doing what we're doing right now. We're leveraging collective intelligence. You're sharing things with me. I'm sharing things with you. We both walk away from the table. We start implementing these changes in our life. Some of it has to do with health, some of it has to do with wealth. Either way, we win, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about franchising. It's just winning, and it's winning at a higher probability than being an independent business owner, which has the highest failure rate of any business opportunity would be going independent. So do not discount leveraging collective intelligence. It's huge. My ability to reach across the phone and call a guy in California, in Maryland, wherever to say, hey, can you help me out? I'm struggling with a business issue. Oh, been there, done that. Love that,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's great. I think, like you mentioned, like having that framework in place, that franchise has other businesses, other shops around the United States, and it's very helpful to be able to reach out to those people, ask questions, and just having that framework versus if you're just building a business on your own, you're just fumbling through, maybe asking, your friends around you if they own businesses, but it may not be very similar if they own different businesses. So
Yeah.
that is great. Do you also buy, I guess aside from franchises, do you buy like, mom and pop businesses that maybe, you can tweak because now it's more of a, maybe they run their business how it used to be ran back in the day, and now you can come in there and basically buy it for a lower number and
Put
just implement
technology in
the
place.
technology,
Right.
yep, to get it
Yeah.
to a greater level.
I've looked into purchasing a mom and pa and converting it so you could grow organically or you could grow through acquisition, right? So growing that way, I've not been successful doing that. What I have been successful doing, in the very beginning of my career, I used to buy, as Warren Buffett says, you buy when there's blood in the street, you sell with the bugles, right? So I would look for blood in the street, and my specialty was buying failure because I viewed myself as a turnaround specialist. So I wasn't afraid of buying this beaten up, abused business. One of my best deals I've ever done was in your backyard in Annapolis and
Yeah.
Stevensville. So I actually started with my business partner, Justin. We started by buying failing gyms. Gyms Gyms are a unique business model. The average customer walks in the front door and out the back door in under 10 months, right?
Yeah.
I was never long, and of course this may age or may not age well. It doesn't matter. I tell all my clients I'm not long gyms, and I never have been. And they're like, "Why? Like, didn't you buy gyms?" Yeah, I buy them, I build them, I sell them for a nosebleed multiple, and then I buy them, right, for 10 cents in a dollar, and I build them, turn them around and sell them for another nosebleed multiple. They're like, why don't you just keep them? Because I am not long fitness. And I was never long fitness back a decade ago. And I'm definitely not long now with the invention of GLP disruptors, semiglutides, the Ozempics and Wegovy's. Absolutely not. You're seeing the unintended consequences of these weight loss drugs in the shopping cart at Walmart. You're literally seeing the butterfly effect. Like what happens when a girl in Maryland stabs herself in the stomach with Ozempic once a week? What happens? She loses weight. Keep going. She has less in her shopping cart at the grocery store. Keep going. She cancels her gym membership. Keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going. You
So
wouldn't believe, man.
it's interesting you say that because one of my actually first, it's my second private investor that I got when I started buying real estate. He, I was actually a boat captain, so that's how I met a lot of people. I ran boats, private boats
Really?
for people. Yeah, I was a Coast Guard licensed master captain, and I went and worked in the summers and traveled around on people's boats basically, and drove around rich people, and I got to be in their ear and hear their stories and blah blah blah. But he, during COVID, when I was kind of doing business with him, he sold a cybersecurity business, ironically, in Northern Virginia, and bought during COVID like 40 something Gold's gyms. And the reason he bought it, because he had a lawyer that was able to renegotiate all the commercial leases and change the
Yeah.
NOI, and
Yep.
then basically packaged them all up and boom, boom, bam, couple M's in your pocket, you can resell them. Um, the thing that I feel like that is changing though, where I feel, and maybe it's because I'm more in the space now, and Nick maybe isn't, he can maybe weigh in this. I do feel like people are more into fitness and health. Like I wasn't a big drinker, but I stopped drinking this year. And because of my Ironman training and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I feel like now, and maybe it is because I'm just in the ethos, but I feel like a lot of people are getting into their health now. I feel like a lot of people are running like I do. I have a run club, and um, people are just, I feel like, taking it more seriously than they were before. The one problem with those drugs, those GLP-1 drugs that you were saying, is that people take them and they don't do the weight training. So
That's
they're
right.
losing a lot of muscle mass. And that's a really dangerous place to be. When you lose a lot of weight, your body is naturally going to eat that muscle first. So you become what they call skinny fat. And it's really, really unhealthy. Um, So I don't know, and Nick, maybe you can weigh in. Like, do you feel like now more than ever people are like getting into their fitness or no? Is that just me because my algorithm's fucked up because I trained for Iron
So
Man?
I do
Right.
think it's like what you focus on expands because you've been working out a lot and training this year for Ironman. It just appears that everyone else around you is doing that. For me, I don't, other than, seeing you and other people that work out with you guys, I don't see a huge change. I mean, I know health is very important. But I think like just like when I got into real estate, that's when like everyone became a real estate investor. But it might have just been because now I know more people who are in real estate who are real estate investors.
What's that? Yeah, what's that called? Like the red car syndrome. Do you know what that's called, Cliff? Like you buy a red
Yes.
car. Like now
Like
I
if you
just bought a
see a red car.
BMW. I started
Mhm.
seeing all these BMWs. Now I notice every BMW that's on the road. I don't know what
Yeah, I can't
there's a
remember what
word
It's
for.
it's a there's a name and it's like Hoffmeyer's. It has a name where
Okay.
if I said something to you like, "Did you see the new 2024 Corvette?" and you're like, "No, I haven't." When we hang up, you'll see like eight of them,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Yep.
it's an actual phenomenon
Yeah.
where, and the question is it a phenomenon where now the universe has placed Corvettes in front of you, or as Tony Robbins would say, like look around my room for everything brown, right? Or look at, you can see my
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Look around for everything green. And then you go, okay, I'm good. And I go, okay, tell me what's brown.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, I wasn't looking for brown. I'm looking for green. Exactly. You're not looking for Corvettes. Now you are.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I looked it up. I looked this up because I'm fascinated with things like that. I have to know the name of it. I want to know why that happens. Like, why does society behave the way they do? Why does the herd do what they do? It's like a Meanhofer phenomenon. There's a name for
Okay.
it. It's like a
We'll have to
long
look it up.
German name. Yeah, it's like my last name. It's a name. ChatGPT will probably be able to
Yeah,
tell you
I'll
in
ask.
seconds.
I'll have my producer put it in the YouTube video when we figure it out, so we can all figure it out together. But so just to quickly go back to gyms, the one gym that I do want to talk about, and it is a franchise, so I'm trying to full circle this here. The most genius gym business model, Planet Fitness. They
Right?
they
I knew you were gonna say
market, they put pizza on their front
right.
fucking,
Donuts.
the donuts, pizza. They get you in there for $10 a month
Yep.
because they know that $10 a month is not enough to cancel. You always have that thing that is, oh, I'm going to go one day. I'm going to go next week. It's only $10 a month. If you belong to an Equinox, that's $300 a month.
Yep.
You're going to go. If you don't go, you're going to cancel. But
Immediately. Yep.
but Planet Fitness, they go to these shopping centers that have a lot of volume, a lot of traffic. They put a gym there. They have 10,000 members and 40 people maybe show up a week.
That's right.
That's that's a real franchise that's doing it and they're doing it right because they you go there, you get tanning. But one of my employees is a friend of mine first and became an employee now, and he says, I'm going to the tanning salon, but it's just LA, it's just Planet Fitness. And he doesn't ever go to work out, but he goes to go tanning and he uses $10 a month because they have a fucking tanning bed there.
Unreal. Yep.
And it's like that's a good business model. Like, how do do you buy a bunch of Planet Fitnesses because a bunch of fat people are going to say, I'm going to go to the gym one day? And how did they think of that? First of all, that's like
Right.
that's a crazy thing to think about. Like, I want to create a gym that nobody
No
comes
one
to.
comes to.
I
Right.
was listening to
And
Hormozy talk about that. It's like I'm going to create something that nobody wants to come to, but they'll pay for it.
and pay me
Yeah,
for it and never cancel. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, is that genius? I guess I'm in my own way because if I'm in the gym business, I genuinely want to help people, and that business is designed to do the opposite. It's not meant to help anyone. It's meant
No,
to
line the
enrich
pockets.
themselves. Yeah, it's meant
Yeah,
to enrich the shareholders and the franchise. My neighbor owns three of them, pays 150,000 a month in rent between the three locations. COVID literally put a nail in his coffin. He was selling his McLaren, he was selling everything, and
yeah. I bet.
it's in your backyard. He owns
Yeah.
those locations in Maryland
Wow.
and
Yeah.
Virginia. Yeah, man, COVID destroyed him because he got no rent abatement. It was
Yeah.
deferral. So
That's
look, I hear you and I agree with everything you said. Just me, like maybe it's my ethics, maybe it's just I want to be. I want to be a responsible provider of my business. Like I cannot take that brand seriously because I know that they really don't give a shit about people. And that
So
just flies in my face.
so where all of my businesses have been based around real estate, right? I have a construction company, I have a property management firm, and we sell real estate. We
Mhm.
buy, sell, flip, rent, whatever, everything. What and that to me is the only thing we know, right? What businesses are you most focused on or think that you are long on? So you're not long on fitness. What
Great
things
question.
are you
Yeah.
long on?
Yeah, great question. So, and I like what you're in. I like your business, whether it's franchise or not. I like what you guys are building. I focus on four categories, and some of this is controversial, but just let me explain that because I themed it, right? So my first theme is the feminization of men in America. Like, what does that mean? I'm long anything regarding the feminization of men, which means men's health, because we're feminizing them, right? Women are now being emasculated, and men are the opposite. So it's like what happened there? So I'm all in on anything ED. I'm on low T. So TRT therapy franchises are huge. Average revenues are almost a million plus. I am
Yeah.
long anything
This
involving the use of tools.
this fucking brand right here. This is let me go on a quick tangent
Go
and
ahead.
maybe they'll sponsor the show or something because I give them enough money. So I was telling you I go to this med spa, Life Med it's called, Life Med Institute here
Okay.
in Maryland. There's a couple locations, 3 or 4 locations. You go in there and I went in there to get my levels checked. So I wanted to make sure my wife and I are trying to have kids and I just wanted to get checked. I train like a crazy person. I'm doing 15 plus hours of cardio a week, weight training the whole nine. I wanted to
Yeah.
be, checked out. You go in there and you spend a couple $100 for a consultation and they just swag you out. They give you shirts, sweatshirts, these fucking cups that I have
Right.
4 of them now because I go every week. I get B shots. And now I wear their shirts. Like I wear my own shirt. Like I wear it because it's a nice shirt and they're
Yeah.
taken over. If you go to any gym around here, how many Life Metros do you see now?
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
often that you see somebody wearing one.
and every
And
time you go in
we were
there,
at the airport and we saw somebody
yeah,
wearing
a
one.
lady had the same exact shirt I had on. We were traveling to Cabo,
Hmm.
and we were like, "This place is blown up," and all these people go there and they have health insurance, but they're still, anybody with a little bit of money can go to this place, and they treat you better. They take
Right.
the time, like the consultation that I had when I first went to my insurance-based doctor, when I first started this like health journey that I'm on. He basically was 10 minutes. I was in and out of that
That's
office.
right.
I didn't get anything that I didn't know already.
Yep.
I went into this med spa place. I guess it's a med spa. I don't know really what to call it. It's a concierge doctor. And you get your blood work done, you sit with them for as long as you're willing to pay them
Hmm.
and you get as much information as you're willing to pay for. And unfortunately, that's just, you get what you pay for. But these places are blowing up, and you
Absolutely.
can't walk
All
in
over the
there
place.
without spending a couple $100. And then they give you 10 shirts. Literally, they'll give you
Yep.
5, 10 shirts, and you wear them, and it's genius. So sorry to interrupt you, but that
No,
is
not at all. I
Life Med
completely agree with you.
Institute. I've been using
Yeah.
them like crazy.
And they do TRT. They're doing
Yeah, oh
hormone
yeah.
therapy. Absolutely. So they're
Peptides,
testing.
TRT,
Yep.
anything you want, and not
NACs.
anything you
Yep.
want, but you go in there and you get your levels checked. Like they check that, and I had deficiencies in certain things, and that's why every week now I go get it's called like Powerhouse Max. They have like it looks like a cocktail menu or a wine list at a restaurant, and it has all the vitamin shots,
Yep.
IV bags, whatever. In that case, if you qualify based on the provider, you go in there and go every week and I get a shot and it makes me feel better every week. That's,
A shot or an IV bag,
I
IV
get the
infusion.
shot
A
because
shot.
I'm
Okay.
I'm a pansy when it comes to IV stuff.
Okay.
So I just do the IM shot of it's called the Powerhouse Max. It's got like, 10 different vitamins,
That's
taurine,
right.
B12, methyl
I do
B12, all
them.
that kind of.
I do them all the time.
Yeah.
We have a brand called right here in town called Forever Young, and like you said, home menu. I do it. I'm
Yep.
a big skier. I got a place out in Park City. I go out there all the time. I love skiing, and I love to that altitude will get you when you live where I live below sea
Oh yeah.
level, right? And I'm hanging out at like 11,000 feet above. So love to get a bag. I do feel a difference in my performance, my ability to handle the altitude, no altitude sickness, and some pretty hardcore skiing all day. So
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. You say this, and I want to make a comment and go back. No, number one, and a bizarre, just kind of throwaway line. Would you believe I'm a 100-ton captain? Not anymore. I let my license. I have never met another captain in my
Really?
career.
That's
Well,
funny.
yeah, once you leave that world, where are you meeting
Yeah,
captains?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I
When
keep
I
my
used to own,
license because I work
you
too
do?
hard to, yeah, I
I know
keep it.
I screwed up. I let it
Hmm.
lapse. I focused so much on trading and Wall Street. I let that thing go and I do regret it. I'll be honest with you. So don't let it lapse. Keep it
Yeah.
current. And you're right. It was a lot to go to maritime school and get that license. But yeah, I used to own parasail boats. So if you're gonna charge people to be on your boat,
You have
you
to
have
have
to be
a,
a captain. That's
yeah.
right.
Yep.
When you said that, it's like I've never heard anyone say that.
Yeah.
But I
I
want
have
to
my
go back
50
to
ton masters, so it's funny.
good for you.
Yep.
Nice.
But
You
yeah,
made a
let's
comment
go
about
back.
gyms. Yeah, you made a
Yeah.
comment about gyms. And I just want to say that, and I agree with what Nick said a little bit, where I think it's the world you're living in that it's appearing that more people. Here's what I'm seeing. And we're talking about it right now. I'm seeing more and more people talking about Huberman, more people talking about biohacking, Gary Brecka. I'm hearing more people talking about that cup you're holding in your hand and and moving money, almost like sector rotation. They're moving money from a traditional gym and they're saying, you know what? That place isn't cheap. I'd rather get an IV bag than join Lifetime at $210 a month or Equinox, to your point. So I'm seeing money moving into
Hmm.
sensory deprivation, red light therapy, TRT, peptides, NACs. I'm seeing money moving into all these other, I'll just call them as an umbrella statement, biohacking versus did you do your cardio today? Did you do your strength training? People are starting to figure out another part of their health by listening to the Huberman pod and really getting in tune to just your circadian rhythm, just waking up.
Yeah.
Get Turn the devices off, get natural light in your eye, go to bed at this, like little life hacks
Yeah.
instead of just the gym. So I am seeing, I agree with you on, don't you see a difference in behavior? 100% difference in behavior. When did anyone challenge sodium, some sodium borate or some chemical in Fruit Loops? Now you got RFK on national
Yeah.
television telling you you're being poisoned.
I'm a huge fan of him
Everything.
and what he's doing with that.
Dude,
I'm a
so am
huge
I, man.
fan. I think
So
he
am
was
I.
a great part. I think he's going to be a great part of this next upcoming. I don't like to get political, but I think he is the perfect example of what we need to show people because the stuff that we are eating is truly, truly poisoning us. And I'll just say it here, and
100%.
I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but when I went to the first test that I got, they did say I had low testosterone and for my age. And if you look at me and you saw a picture of me, you wouldn't think I had low testosterone.
No,
I mean,
no.
I got a six pack. I'm jacked. Like but
Yep.
it's a thing that doesn't show. And I
That's
hate to
right.
sound like a dick, but it's true. And I asked the lady, I said, "Does it look like I have low? I don't feel like I have low testosterone. I just ran a 10K this morning for warm ups." Like she's like, it's showing in younger and younger males and she says, I don't want to get, she literally said, like, I don't want to get political, basically, but we think it's in the food. That's what
I
she
know.
said.
Yeah,
We
we,
think
we
it's in the
think
food.
we know it's in the food. Everyone has autism now. Like it's like a thing now,
Yeah. It was
right? I
that
mean,
was
come
another
on.
interesting stat. It was I think maybe I shared this on the podcast before. I don't know. We talk so much shit on the podcast, but the numbers were like one in the early 90s, it was like 1 in 37 people got diagnosed with autism.
That's right.
Now it's one or one in
No, the other way.
1,500. Yeah.
Right,
One
right.
in 1,500 people
That's
were
right.
diagnosed with autism. Now 1 in 37 people
That's
are
right.
diagnosed with autism. Peanut
That's right.
allergies, low testosterone, low sperm count, all of these things spiked in the 90s. Interestingly enough, and we're going to get like our tinfoil hats on here, but it's when the tobacco companies came
Got in
in
the
and
food business.
got the food business because they couldn't put any money into marketing when we made, I guess it, um, somebody's going to fact check me on this, I hope, but they made it illegal to market cigarettes.
Mhm.
Like they couldn't put commercials out. So the tobacco companies had this surplus of money. They bought the food companies. Now the tobacco companies own all the food companies, and the same people that were making the cigarettes addicting are now making the food addicting. And then we saw the spike in all of these chronic illnesses. And then basically we become dependent on only a couple of distributors that have control of all the food. They have all the
Yeah,
food,
that's right.
pesticides, all the stuff. So
That's right.
now we're full tinfoil hatting, but I think
No,
it's true.
it needs to be that's the problem. Like when people start everything out with, I want to be sensitive to your feelings. No, fuck your feelings. They're killing us. What does this have to do with feelings and politics? They are polluting our food.
Hmm.
Our children are chronically ill. We're
Yep.
the richest, most powerful, sickest, fattest country in the world. There's something wrong here. I
Right.
don't need RFK to tell me. I just need someone in a high level position to confirm our suspicions that our food is polluted. Well,
Yep.
guess what? It's confirmed. I have an app. It's called Yuka. I don't know if you're
Yes.
into this.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, man.
absolutely.
Come on.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, please,
The
you
Yucca
can't buy
store.
anything.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
so we were just in Cabo 2 weeks ago. You get a bag of potato chips, Lay's, same brand, three ingredients. Three ingredients. It
Right.
says papas, salt, and there was some like oil. That's it. Three ingredients. You get a Lay's bag here, there's 76 ingredients in it.
That's right.
Like not I'm not saying exactly
No, I get
76
your
ingredients,
point.
but
Yeah.
there's all
Dozen.
these
Right.
there's the remember we had the Oreos?
Yeah.
Like we all said that they taste different. Something's
Hmm.
different. The chips taste different. And that's I don't want to shit on Mexico, but they're not as rich as us. They're not
That's
as
right.
they're not as high in the world economy as we are, and they have healthier food than we do. The fruit is natural, it's organic because they have no choice. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
they just grow it, you know. So I do think that the it's funny you are like short on gyms but long on health. That's an
Right.
uh interesting dynamic you have there.
Yeah, almost like a dichotomy, right? It's like, man, that's like jumbo shrimp. It's like, what did you say? You're
Yeah.
short on gyms, but you're right. I am a very long on health. I think this administration is going to flip the script on everything that we've been doing. I think it will be make America healthy again. And I think a lot of these companies are in deep shit. The things that they've been feeding us are just absolutely frightening. It's criminal. And
Yeah.
people need to start going to prison. People need to start being held accountable. I mean, look at fluoride. I mean, what's fluoride? You
Yeah.
got to go all the way back to Dow Chemical. It's an industrial byproduct. Where do you put industrial byproducts? Right? We'll put it in the toothpaste. You want to talk about two stories that can't be true? Toothpaste, do not swallow. Drinking water, enjoy it. Wait a second. They both have fluoride in it. Toothpaste is saying don't do it. Drinking water is like go right ahead. You calcify your pineal gland. No big deal. You just be a little dumber next year.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is now coming to the surface. All these quote conspiracy theories are now being fact checked, and now we have leading scientists that are no longer being censored, that are able to now speak
Yep.
freely about what's going on. I think it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
long overdue. I'm excited. You're young guys. You'll have a longer life. Can you imagine looking at you two? Like your generation will not outlive the prior generation. That's the first time that's ever
First
happened in
time.
the history. That's
Yep.
right. That's right. Like your longevity is not longer than your grandparents or your parents. That should really piss you off.
Yeah, that's why I finally I had to make a huge change in my life. Luckily, I'm blessed enough where I had the time and the finances to do so. But people need to open their eyes and actually make a change because once this stuff gets hopefully blown up when this new administration comes in and RFK actually takes that role and runs with it, I think there's going to be a lot of change. I don't think I hope there's a lot of change.
Mm,
So yeah,
I agree.
so what kind of businesses, so besides these like med spas and stuff, what other kind of
Yeah.
businesses are we looking at?
You mentioned it, and then you and I have been doing a great job going down like bunny trails, right? So I'll bring us back because I never even finished your first question. There are four things that I focus on. One is the feminization of men. Men can't use tools. Men have poor health. I am long on any business requiring the use of a tool: roofing, siding, HVAC, flooring, drywall, window
Mhm.
replacement, garage door repair. If it requires a tool to perform the service with feet on the street, I'm long. And I truly believe in an era of AI, your local plumber, these guys are going to own the world going forward because I think AI is going to annihilate white collar jobs, and
Yeah,
I mean annihilate. And I'm not
absolutely.
alone on that statement.
Yeah,
Even Goldman
absolutely.
thinks 300 plus million jobs could be
Yeah,
eliminated globally just from AI.
yeah.
Next category, we humanize pets and animals. So I'm long anything involving pets and animals. We're not repopulating. I'm happy to hear that you and your wife want to start having a family. That's great because that's not a common conversation with our youth today. They're not repopulating. They're buying pets and now they have acronyms for them, right? Like people who have no
Dog
children.
moms. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, right.
yeah.
Everyone has these furry babies. And so we literally humanize them where people almost care more about animals today than they do maybe even their neighbor.
My
But
in-laws own a big veterinarian practice. They're all vets, and my brother's a
they're
vet.
killing it.
Everybody's a vet, and it and since COVID, it's exploded too.
That's right.
That is a good. So we're two for two here. Okay, what's next?
I don't care if you're grooming. I don't care if you're boarding. I don't care if you're training. I'm not long on retail because I think retail belongs on the web. I just don't think
Hmm.
anyone should be brick and mortar retail. I think those days are over and you're at the top of your bell curve. And if you buy those things, like lower your expectations. Category number three, this country is aging. In the next decade, there will be more adult diapers sold in America than baby diapers. That is frightening. So the aging great, we're going the same way Japan went. They're an ancient civilization. Look at the Japanese if you want to know what's about to happen to America. If it wasn't for illegal immigration and people just walking in here, we're not repopulating. We don't have a future of youth to care for our elderly. So I'm long anything assisted living, anything non emergency medical transportation. I'm all about home care. I'm all about mobility. I've got guys that own mobility brands doing millions, just
Yeah,
renting, repairing, and selling scooters and wheelchairs and assisted chair lifts and striker beds. My next category has a lot to do with what we discussed at the top of this call, which is anything involving beauty, vanity, biohacking, the desire to look youthful. You're seeing a trend. We're not repopulating. We're an aging graying of America. And now I'm talking about anything involving beauty and vanity, whether it's Botox, whether it's just like we talked about sensory deprivation tanks or red light therapy or any type of biohacking, whether it be IV, drip therapy. I think all that, or nail salons. Show me a nail salon that failed during the housing crisis. You won't be able to find one. Like
yeah,
those things are tried and true. Anything involving my favorite line with spending with women is never bet against the spending habits of a female, especially when it comes to wanting to look youthful and beautiful and feel confident and sexy and all that stuff. I would never bet against the spending habits. So those four categories, by the way, are AI proof and they're
hmm
Amazon proof,
yeah,
all of them. And
yep,
that's what I'm all about. I'm all about tried, true, local. If you need a service, if you need a product, you can only get it here. I don't want to hear I could get it on Amazon. I don't want, now I'm hearing Temu. I don't want to hear I could get it on Temu. I,
yeah,
I see these people open up CBD oil businesses. It's like you're out of business and you just don't know it yet. No
yeah,
one needs a CBD oil brick and mortar brand in their town. That's just
yeah.
crazy to me. You can
It's
buy all
funny.
that stuff online.
Both Nick and I have home services companies. He started as a landscaper, still owns the landscaping company. The grass is gonna grow no matter what.
I'm
My
long. I'm in.
my home remodeling company, I'm doing a lot of flips for myself and a lot of construction for investors, but I'm also building kitchens, I'm building bathrooms, I'm building additions, I'm doing roofs, I'm doing all that. That stuff and AI, if you use it, that's the other thing that I'm super long on taking. And we were talking about buying mom and pop businesses. My project manager a couple months ago, maybe a month or so ago, came to me and he said, "Did you know that you can upload? So first you can take your phone, Polycam. I'm going to give
Mhm.
everybody a hack here. Take your phone, download Polycam, pay $100 a year, scan the room. It tells you how big the room is. It gives you a picture. You upload it into ChatGPT and say, how much drywall do I need? How much trim do I need? How much flooring do I need? And it'll spit you out in 5 minutes, to spit you out a material list and exactly how much it's going to cost you.
Wow.
I've completely cut out basically 90% of my estimating time by using two apps, both AI based. And Nick's doing a demo job for me right now, one of my flips. Another app is called Company Cam that uses AI I walk through the house with it recording, and I'm just snapping little pictures, talking to the phone, just as if it's a person. I'm saying,
Mhm.
just remove that piece of furniture, throw this away, demo this. And that's all those notes. That's all AI. It's all
That's
AI
brilliant.
that's writing the notes, taking the pictures, and then I send a link and it goes to Nick and he can forward it on to his guys on site. And it's a full scope of work. And I didn't do a thing. All I did was talk to
I
my
love
phone
it.
and the AI did the rest. Where before I was sitting there taking a picture, writing down on a computer or
Yeah.
typing in. AI has completely taken over. There are people in my industry. I know I go to the gym with a couple of guys. One guy that used to be compete, not I would say competing with me, but like we do the same, we're in the same industry, right?
Hmm.
And there's no way he can keep up with me because I am on technology. I am doing everything on the cutting edge of AI technology, inputting it into the business that the older generation is not either willing to
That's right.
learn or willing to implement because it's scary or it's new. It's clunky sometimes. But when you are willing to put that time in and learn the system, I can put so many people, if I really wanted to take the time and give up on my health again and I can put so many people out of business right now by just implementing a couple pieces of technology and just taking over. And that I'm long on that AI stuff.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And I agree with those, like what is your advantage, right? It's not always just being smarter. Smarter is just irrelevant, right?
I was a gym teacher.
You're
See,
leveraging everything.
PE, property management. I was a gym teacher. That's what that
Oh,
name
is that
is.
what that means? All
Now we
right.
do $10 million a year.
That's great. Good for you guys. Great.
So yeah,
I
that's
love residential or commercial is
all
always
residential. I don't
all
touch,
right.
I do very little commercial. I know the residential game. I like 30-year mortgages. Same, Nick and I are in the same game. He has 100 houses, 100 more. How many do you have?
93.
93 houses. So we're all long game, 30-year mortgages. I don't really like the commercial space as much. Actually, we were just getting ready to buy a commercial building from Nick recently, and we pulled out of the deal because of a couple of reasons. But the commercial game to me is something that can come and go really quickly with the cycle of rates, and the residential stuff, it can only get better. You can only
Hmm.
refinance. I'm only gonna refinance if it's better. I have
Right.
30 years to pay this thing down. I know I'm cash flowing now. I know the rents are probably not going to go down, not definitely, but probably not going to go down
Hmm.
over the next 30 years, and my mortgages will be paid, and there'll be tens of millions of dollars for me at the end of the rainbow. That to me is the game that I know, so I stay away from commercial. All the
Yeah.
people that refinanced 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and they're eating there's a lot of capital calls going on right now in those commercial syndicates. I'll tell you that right now.
Billions.
Yeah.
Billions. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's hell to pay in the
Yeah.
commercial space. Totally.
What do you think, Nick? You're quiet over there.
No, I mean, I agree. Going back to that the cam company, that was pretty cool. I didn't know anything about that, as I mentioned when I talked to you the other day. And when he sent me this link, I opened it up. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Next thing I know, I pop on social media and it's everywhere just because I clicked the link to open it up. But it is very useful tool because I would take pictures and I would edit it right there, type in like what needs to be done, and it'd be annoying because I'd have to save it, and then I want an original picture, so I'd have to take a screenshot of it so I can edit that picture instead of the original one. And when you sent me that and you're like, tell me how it works, I'm like, that's incredible.
Yeah. A lot of technology. If you use it, I think
Saves a lot of time.
yeah, and if you're not willing to use it, like a lot of these older companies, you they're gonna die. Those companies are
Hmm.
gonna die. And I'm trying to eventually, once I really fully, Dave Shannon this weekend said seventh leveling my company when I can really take away myself from the company and it still grow. I would love to buy an HVAC company, a plumbing
Hmm.
company, and an electric company because I'm spending millions of dollars a year on those three things. And those people, some of them are old and they are not going to want to run their companies for forever, and there's nobody to take them over. The problem is there's nobody to work for them either,
That's right.
because
That's right.
the younger generation is incentivized to go to college, to take on all this debt, to do something that isn't going to pay it back when they could go to trade school for free. Like my old HVAC guy's like, I'm trying to go to trade schools, telling him I'm going to pay for your school if you just work for me for 4 years. And he can't fill the positions.
Yeah.
And the problem, and I think that a lot of those companies who don't have anyone and they're getting older, they want to get out of business. Instead of them selling their company, a lot of them will just go out of business.
Yeah.
They might not even view that as an option to sell because of where they think that their business is mentally in their head. But in reality, somebody can come and scoop it up if they have an established clientele and they can, lift it up off the ground and move it forward.
Yeah.
100%. HVAC is one of those industries that is literally aging out, and no one is backfilling that talent.
Yeah.
We had a guy on our show that bought he acquired multiple 4 states. Total acquisition was about 4 million. And he wanted to scale HVAC, and everyone said what we're talking about right now. So he ended up going to high schools and vocational schools, and he started recruiting. This guy built a $350 million HVAC company, sold it to a private equity firm. Today they're doing over 800 million a year in HVAC in 5 states.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're right. We have an issue with the trades. We have shit all over the trades for years. Mike Rowe did all these shows, dirty
Yeah.
jobs. Everyone's like, nah, I want to go to college. They come out of college, they're not ready. I
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing in college, but they're clearly not learning what you're supposed to be learning to be a productive human being. And
Mhm.
now I think you're going to see a change after all those presidents of Ivy League schools testified in Congress. I do believe now you're going to start to see a lot of people embracing the trades and saying, you know what, the plumber's making 350 a year. That's more than some of these guys at Goldman are making, and
Yeah.
I have no student loans.
The blue collars are turning white.
I listen, I really do believe that. Maybe I'm in my own way with it, but I do believe I feel there's a tone change. I also felt like when Obama was running, remember Joe the plumber? The
Yeah.
guy's like, nah, I didn't go to college. I'm a plumber. I'm making a couple hundred grand a year. Why would I go to college? You get $150,000 student loan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now they're forgiving the loan. What does that tell you? It's like, listen, we know the degree has no value. Now, I'm not talking about when you went to school. I'm talking about now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like right now, if you said Harvard to me and you graduated in the last few years, like that means absolutely nothing to me, other than I feel bad for you. And I'm sure you
Hopefully you have
didn't learn
rich
much.
parents. Yeah. Hopefully you have,
Yeah.
rich parents so they
I,
paid
I
for it.
hate
But
to
yeah.
I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
I do believe that. So the trades are back. It's amazing. There was no pre-interview for this call. There's
No.
quite a bit of alignment, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have another show to get on, but I feel like we could sit here and rap for a while.
I
But
could
we got to get on. We got to get on another episode, or if you have a show, we'll have to pop on because I do feel like we have a lot in common, a lot to
maybe
talk about.
I'll come back one day. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back. I enjoyed meeting you guys, and thank you so much for your time,
Yeah. Absolutely.
for having me
Cliff.
on.
Cliff, we'll definitely be in touch and we'll send you all the links and stuff. How can people get a hold of you and that kind of
Thank you.
thing?
Yeah, if anyone listening, has an interest in exploring franchising as an investment vehicle, give me a call. You can reach me at 561-277-3710. You can visit my website, franocity.com, FRANOCITY.com.
I'm
Simple.
glad you spelt that. I'm not a good speller, so I'm glad you spelt that.
You
All right,
guys are
guys.
great. Great show,
Yeah,
man. Love it.
absolutely. Thanks, Cliff. We'll see you next time.
You got it, guys. Bye now.